Hello everybody, it's Wyron here with a video covering today's release, or today's reveal of one of the upcoming lores, Count Noctilus, which we kind of expected. One of the cool things about this is that it probably means that CA is going to be releasing or showing a lore today from now, throughout this week. So hopefully tomorrow, RNS Assault Spite will be confirmed, and on Friday we'll hopefully have the, whatever this person is, shown and revealed to us. But regardless, makes my last speculative video a bit unnecessary, perhaps. But nonetheless, Count Noctilus, as you can see here, handsome. He looks a bit like Davy Jones, except without the creepy octopus face. Looks to be pretty cool. And going over his abilities and stats, I'm definitely a lot more excited for him than I was for the actual core character for or I suppose the actual leader of the faction, Harkon. So going through his abilities here, for faction effects, he does have a unique. It would appear that he's got unique war declaration missions. We already have these in game. Obviously, you always have something like declare war on so and so faction, and you'll get usually it's some sort of garbage improvement. It's like minus 10% recruit cost, or 2 better Lord recruit rank or something, and they're not really worth doing unless it's convenient. But where you're about to war that faction anyway. But if the rewards are unique and actually helps, it could be incredibly useful. It does appear that it's going to improve his recruiting capacity for his troops, and it's going to possibly improve replenishment, and it definitely seems to improve recruitment times for Necrofex Colossi, which are those huge hulking ship constructs that we saw in the trailer, and that I think are pretty darn cool. Besides that, he does get reduced upkeep for the Necrofex Colossi, so and an extra weapon strength to any monstrous unit. So basically, he's the monstrous lord in the bunch. What this possibly means is that, and I don't really feel like speculating too much because we're gonna probably see her tomorrow. But this probably means though that RNS Assault Spite is not really gonna have benefits to big monsters, because if he's the monster-oriented lord, it wouldn't really make sense for RNS to also be monster-oriented. Generally, each lord kind of keeps their own theme. He does get a unique mount, or a mount, of Necrofex Colossus. I'm not entirely sure if there's actually going to be multiple variants of the Necrofex Colossus in game. We saw a flamethrower and a cannon-armed, or a cannon-shooting one in the trailer, but I'm not sure if one is, for example, the mount option for him. Perhaps he gets a unique one that has a flamethrower, or because most of the pictures we've seen have been ones with the cannons, which is why I kind of assume one might be flamethrower-armed and one might be cannon-armed. But regardless, pretty cool that he gets a nice monstrous mount like that. And we don't have too many walking monstrous mounts. There's obviously the ones for the lizardmen. I suppose there's the Bonebreaker, and obviously the OG, the Mammoth, back from Warhammer 1. But otherwise, there haven't really been that many real monstrous mounts, or ground monstrous mounts. Usually factions get dragons or griffins or that sort, or eagles or whatever, that sort of stuff. So definitely gonna be pretty cool, definitely exciting. And plus, if it's a ranged monsters mount, that's even cooler. Because right now we don't really have, most lores aren't ranged to begin with, and the fact that it could be a ranged monsters mount would be even cooler. Though perhaps it might be a melee variant of the Necrofex Colossus, so I'm not sure. He does get a unique enchanted item, Captain Roth's Moondial, which improves movement and line of sight on the campaign map. Depending on how much of an improvement this is, this could be very useful. These are actually some of the small buffs in campaign that I think can matter a bit, especially movement distance. And then it gives him the ability to summon zombie deckhands across the battlefield. Now, if he gets this item in, if this is map wide, and he gets this item in quick match, I could see this becoming incredibly annoying. Global summons are, in my opinion, pretty darn horrible in quick match already with Dushabti, so having an additional one for these guys would be really, really frustrating, because it prevents a lot of the counterplay options. But obviously, we'll see. That remains to be seen. He might not get this item in a quick match, or it might be changed, or it might not be a global. We'll definitely see how that works out. Then he's got some cool unique skills. Master of the Dread Fleet, as I discussed earlier. I kind of had my own speculations, but these are obviously wrong. So he's the undisputed leader of the Dread Fleet. which simply increases Lord Recruit rank faction-wide, which, okay, it's fine. That can be useful. I don't consider it the most amazing thing ever, but generally, yeah, a few extra ranks on Lords are nice, but I just have never found them to be that game-changing. Usually you'd get those ranks within a few turns anyway. But that's just my few cents. He does have regenerative hull, which improves his replenishment rate and recruitment capacity on his army, which I think is awesome. These are some of those things that actually matter quite a bit in campaign. Replenishment rates and recruitment capacity, those are some of the biggest benefits in the campaign. One of the reasons Gorst is such a great pick for vampire accounts is because his replenishment buff of 20% has a huge impact. So, and that's the same reason Fey Enchantress is so strong for Bretonnia, because her baseline, the fact that she gives you a 15% improvement replenishment, is huge. He then has Vandal. Plundering is in his blood, which increases the horde growth for his ship, as well as the income gained from raiding and sacking settlements, which is pretty cool. I'm not necessarily sure this is super useful. Well, sacking settlements, it's got, yeah, you know what, it is useful. Whether or not the ship horde growth is that great or the raiding is that great, because you won't really be raiding that often. But sacking settlements, getting more money is always a nice thing. Just look at the Wood Elves, the way they're built around raising settlements for money. It can be a huge benefit. Then he does have of the Von Karstein line, which is pretty cool. Based on this, I would assume he might get to Act Terror, which seems useless, because I would assume, and I could be wrong, but I would assume that Necrovex Colossus is going to have Terror. So that seems a bit wasted. It's kind of like Mazdamundi, I think, has a trait that lets him cause Terror, which is kind of like, okay, you're going to be mounted on its lock anyway in a campaign. So who cares? But, hey, you never know. But what it does do is give him regeneration. So that's pretty slick. That's definitely pretty nifty. And to be fair, it doesn't actually say if it's a permanent regen. It is regenerating in the face of seemingly insurmountable injuries. So it could be a classic regen, or it could be a sort of burst regen, like the Hydras, and none other takes its place, or perhaps they're too horrible to die sort of stuff. Obviously without him dying, because that would be really weird. But with it could be like a sort of burst heal, I could imagine as well, if it's from seemingly insurmountable injuries, so sort of a last gasp type thing. Seekers is pretty nifty as well. Improvement of melee defense for Depth Guard, Deck Droppers, and Terrorgeists. Once again, emphasizing, I think, that monster theme, and definitely looks pretty interesting. Depth Guard, I'm still not entirely sure if they're monsters infantry or if they're just infantry or what they are. But definitely looks like some pretty cool improvements there. The leadership thing for Undead, I always find it's kind of silly. Finally, Invincible Fleet, which gives his whole army increased leadership and makes him unbreakable. I just don't see this as that useful. Who cares about undead leadership, guys? It just doesn't matter in campaign, especially. It might matter a bit in quick match, where a savvy player can collapse your leadership very quickly against undead, and make you crumble. But in campaign, it just doesn't matter. Nobody cares. But regardless, he's going to be starting in the Galleon's Graveyard, where it was already stated by viewers that we're going to be seeing him. That's going to be in the dead center in the map. I would assume. I don't believe it actually exists on the Mortal Empires map, because the last time I was playing Mortal Empires, I don't recall that being there. So I would assume they'll either add the territory on Mortal Empires, or they will have him start somewhere else. So I'm not entirely sure. Finally, for his ship, he is going to have the Bloody Reaver, which just kind of makes sense. Who else would he be? But either way, it does look like we're going to have some pretty cool different starting spots. He'll start up here, obviously. We already know that Yold Luther is going to start in the middle of the Vampire Coast, and then I would assume that, based on what we know about the other guys, we might be seeing someone in Sartosa, and then that leaves one more person for somewhere on the map. But it's a nice spread of spawns. One of the really annoying things right now is that some factions are really shoehorned into just one spot. Especially the Arc Elves, to a lesser extent High Elves, because right now the High Elves do have tech lists, but definitely one of the sometimes annoying things, especially on Mortal Empires, is when factions just are all clumped up in an area. So it's going to be pretty cool if that's less of an issue. But regardless, I'm definitely pretty hyped for Noctilus, definitely hyped for what's to come in the upcoming days. I'll be doing a small video like this one for each of those new lords. And I hope you enjoyed, hope you found it informative, and hope you found it a little entertaining. Definitely looking forward to this creeper, and looking forward to what else CA has to show us. So, like I said, I do hope you guys enjoyed, and if you have any comments, any criticism, any questions, well, I'm not sure I can really answer questions but about this, but hey, be sure to post them down below, and I'll do my best to respond as soon as I can. And I suppose that is all. Thank you all for watching, and I'll see you all in the next one. Bye for now.